Morality. Tonight, we discuss the conclusion of the Orville, then we take a look at the terminal list to begin our community watch through. Then we'll conclude tonight's show with a look at the new zombie mode in Call of Duty. All this starts right now on the Rebirth. And welcome back to your Tuesday night home for movies, games, shows, books. What's funny is Pollo Zapatos actually yelled at me to make sure that I remember to turn on my sound, and go figure, I forgot again. Anyway, thank you, and of course, we are glad to have everybody here to discuss what is arguably one of the greatest sci-fi shows on television. I'm sorry, there really kind of isn't an argument there, and we'll of course tell you why. But gentlemen, how's everybody? Are we ready to talk about the Orville's finale?
Absolutely, I'm ready to rock.
And of course, we are trying a new thing this week, and that is where we've decided, if you caught us on Casual Filth over the weekend, we started simulcasting on Facebook now, because I figured, why not? So we'll see how it goes. So Orville won our hearts when it came in 2017. It's 2017, right? Same year Star Trek. Okay, I thought it was 8. Okay, I gotta make? Yeah, it's been so long. You know, we only have 3 seasons, and we should have like 20 by now. Last week was a very well, I mean, I predicted it on the show that they might.
Real quick.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Good evening. I gave the old man a watch. A little predictable, but very good overall.
Randy,
yeah, if you love videos, a lot of stuff is going to get predictable.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
I do agree with that assessment. It did have its moments where you could find stuff, but, you know.
And I 100% recommend going back through the previous live streams, take a look at what we said for the episodes, and see if you agree, man. Feel free to reach out about that. Just maybe wait until after this stream.
Everything we we talked about every episode. I make sure to put in chapters, so you can go back and click the ones that it's there, and it's very easy to just pull up those segments. We like to make things as easy for our viewers as possible. Hence why we're transmitting on Facebook now. But yes, the Orville unfortunately came to an end last week, and of course, I ended up kind of, I guess, being right with one of my predictions. Of course, I throw like 20 out there like Nostradamus, and eventually the law of probability works in my favor. I was very glad with what they did, honestly. I did like your idea, Corione, and I think that's still a good plot that they could bring up in season 4. However, going the more just lighthearted, and we're just going to have a fun, family-filled episode, I think was really just a good way to end it with no loose ends, so to speak. Well, except for the one that you mentioned. And we got a good jumping off point for seasons 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Absolutely. I mean, don't get me wrong. I really wish they had gone to go get Mercer's kid. I really wish they had. But if they weren't going to, this was a fantastic episode to do the way they did. It had the right mix of humor, of genuine interactions, and, you know, sense of family that you only get right now with the Orville's crew.
Yeah.
That's well put. I would even say it goes so far as, like, every episode this season is basically a feature film, and this one is basically the rom-com of the season.
Yeah.
And the way that it wrapped up the whole season, along with the way that the episode progressed through itself, it literally took us through the whole adventure we've been on so far. It reminded us of different beats, different things that have gone on, and also like all of the progression that has occurred since episode 1 of season 3. And not to mention just episode 1, but even the not even the resolution, but the summation of their relationship since season 2. Isaac and the Dr. Finn. And I think that like that overall closing without the guaranteed season 4, like I really feel like I was left at a place where I could be okay with having to wait again, just because everything that they gave us was so great that I could go back and rewatch any episode and have an enjoyable time while I wait. Which is the crazy thing, that season 1 and 2 did the same thing, and somehow season 3 comes in and just beats it out of the park. It was really fun. I am sad to see it go, but I am happy to see the way it left for now. Hashtag renew.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Renew the Orville. I'm going to put that at least in the YouTube for now. I forgot to do that on Twitter today, but I'll do that later. Go ahead.
I mean, the way I think that the seasons are structured with Orville is they always intend to make the season self-contained, but build on what's already happened. Yeah. So if you were to watch, say, season 3 without having watched season 2 or season 1, you could still probably watch it. It would still probably be watchable and very viable as a show in and of itself. But thankfully, they did things in such a way that for those of, you know, people who decide to sit down and watch the whole thing, you really get this beautiful tapestry story arc here. And, you know, Seth has really mastered the art of doing like TV as season as story, for lack of a better term. He's really gotten good at it, of just giving us enough of a meta plot that we can fill in the connective tissue as needed once he's put all the pieces in place for us. So, I mean, you know, hats off to the master here. He's done a fantastic job. Right? You know, it's something I want to see way more often.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that until you said it, but yes, episode 1 is Isaac dealing with his relationship to the people in the ship, while also being called back by one of the Finn family clan. And the rest of the season is a slowly build to this resolution. And it's like, wow, they've been through a lot, but they're still actually caring for each other, actually doing things that like a good couple is supposed to do. They discuss their feelings, and they've gotten to the point where they decided to get married, and every one of us is like, yeah, it makes sense. And even the characters in the show like make it feel like they're approving too, even though like each one of them, or not everyone, but some of them have chased after Dr. Finn and gotten shut down. And I think it's like really cool to see them put it all together.
Fair enough. And we got a message here in the fan mail. Glinda, that is cool. We understand you've got multiple streams juggling. We appreciate you taking the time to at least drop a message in here. As always, you are amazing, and we appreciate you, and thank you for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just grateful that you're even watching or even having us up in the background to give us that view at all.
Thank you for the support. It really is appreciated.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Love you too.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's the thing I've realized. Like, his writing style is very much I study writing styles. We can take a look at, say, for example, JMS, who did Babylon 5. He was the first guy to really put together the idea of, no, let's build this show in a serialized arc. And, you know, he did it very hard, that you really had to watch the previous episodes for the new ones to make sense. But it seems like Seth has learned to take the older school approach of every episode being self-contained, and take JMS's no, every one of them should be connected. Kind of like what the last, I would say 2 or 3 seasons of Deep Space Nine really did well, where you really felt like you were seeing a longer story play out as the B plot to whatever adventure of the week was going on. Everything built on everything else until it culminated in the final events. And this is something that Seth does very well. It's something Seth has done very well in a lot of the shows he's been attached to. And, I'm super happy to see him continue to do that.
Yeah, me too. I'm actually working right now. I'm putting a script together for a video project on my personal channel, and I'm basically going to do a side-by-side comparison of Strange Unoriginal Retcons Season 1 versus Orville Season 3, because there are so many markers that both of those stories touch that you can clearly see the difference. And yeah, some people are trying to say, like, I get that some people in the Orville community don't want to Trek bash, and that's fine. You're allowed to go about this how you wish. However, for me, it's not so much about Trek bashing as it is about the fact that the Orville has set the standard. And that's been iterated by a lot of social commentators. The first one that I heard it from, of course, being Doomcock. And he's right. The Orville sets the standard for sci-fi writing. And there's just no comparison. And after finishing episode 9 of this season, I was done making excuses for Kurtzman Trek. I don't care anymore. We already have what we've got. No amount of his retconning, no amount of his continued cultural vandalism is going to ever change the original timeline as it is. I don't care what story he tries to come up with to erase TOS or whatever. You can't uncreate what already has been created. That's you can destroy it so much, but in the end, Star Trek is an idea, and ideas are bulletproof. And Seth MacFarlane has upheld the original Star Trek idea with Season 3 of the Orville. And that's really the whole point of my video. It's not really just going to necessarily... I don't really care. We don't need to bash. We don't. We can simply just stand the Orville up next to Kurtzman Trek, and you can see, Kurtzman Trek is a hut built out of shit whereas Orville has a sturdy foundation and a strong structure all throughout. There is no point where the Orville fails. It had,
and I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
And I mean, just take a look at the numbers, right? Like, look, Orville did fantastic. I mean, typically Disney and Hulu don't totally release their numbers, but they have been for this show. So that tells you right then and there that they feel that it's been successful at the very least. Now, compare that to CBS All Access's Star Trek numbers. They're bad. They're really bad. And not only are they bad, but the entire CBS company, their stock prices are falling through the basement.
CBS doesn't exist anymore because of it. They rebranded to Paramount.
Right. So, and it's still losing money. I mean, the question is going to become at some point, how much money are they willing to let Kurtzman lose for them? And now that they've seen literally a show written by that dude who does Family Guy eat their lunch, you know, what are they going to do? What are they going to say even, right? I mean, look, you've got, and let's just be clear here, right? This show also has Jon Favreau consulting on it, right?
You mean Favreau?
Or Favreau. Yeah, Favreau's consulting on it. And, I mean, the episode before the finale was eating Star Wars' lunch. Like, you know, he's got to be sitting there going like, look, you know, I've been consulting on that Family Guy show, and he's kicking our butt when we release, you know, subpar stuff. You know, Orville is going to be held up, whether by the numbers guys or by fans, it's going to be held up as, guys, we need more of this and less of whatever the heck that is.
Yep. And it all comes down to the writing. Like, again, we make it a point, we're called the Writer Brothers for a reason, because we're all brothers and we write in one form or another. It's really that simple. And that's the only thing that I blame in the series, in Star Trek, is the writing. Fan mail from Arendi. Hopefully they lose enough money to let Seth MacFarlane buy Star Trek. I'm pretty sure they declined an offer from him a while ago. You know,
yes, they did.
Yeah, they did. They declined. He pitched a show, which I guess is what the Orville ended up becoming. And yeah, I can see your point. I had been hashtagging Give Seth Star Trek, but even, and you know what? I don't even care if he's a showrunner for Star Trek. I just know that if Seth is put in the position of executive producer for all things Trek, he will put the right people in charge of Star Trek property. Seth MacFarlane could very well easily churn all these shows around. I mean, Picard's setting sail this time, but
I think there's another thing that could really benefit is, rather than giving Seth MacFarlane all these properties so he burns himself out trying to do what he loves, instead put him in a position to teach and coach all the other people, show them his methods.
That's why I'm saying. Yes, that's why I'm saying, give him Kurtzman's position. He'll put the right people in charge of the right show. I mean, why isn't the Family Guy guy in charge of Lower Decks? Explain that stupidity to me. Don't get me wrong. I like Lower Decks season 2, but it's, as far as a Trek show goes, it's like maybe a 3 out of 7 for me. But it has potential, and I am excited to check out season 3. However, the guy who did Family Guy should clearly be the one calling the shots on a show like Lower Decks, and he'd do it so much better. But
especially when he pitched you a comedy Star Trek, and then you're gonna call in some other expert in animation, like, and it's not even animation or anything. Like, Seth MacFarlane has not taken the time to write bad content.
No.
And even his like lower level episodes of Family Guy, it's like, well, yeah, he wrote 24 in the span of a month while writing for all these other shows too. So it's like lower rather than his best, but never actually lower than a standard episode. Yeah. And I think that's something that he really, the majority of the writing community could benefit from, is a masterclass in his continuity process. Like, it really does feel like he writes the whole season in one line, and then from there it breaks that one sentence, that one paragraph, into a series of episodes that he then writes, you know, an hour and a half long script for, and it's working.
Now, real quick, we don't normally do plugs this early in the show, but I did get a comment on the Facebook video from Michael Gabanik. He's the producer of our background music and our pre-show music. Please check him out on Spotify. He goes by Morality on Spotify. Says, I love PD York. Thanks, buddy. I love you too, and I love your music. I love putting it on our show. I do need to update the tracks, though. It has been a minute. But yes, we do love the stuff you've helped provide to help make this show possible. Also check, he's actually part of a gaming group called the Hungarians. They play Rust. They are like dedicated Rust players. That's all they play. That's their thing right now. And they've got a pretty big following going up, but I do love checking in those guys stream from time to time. So definitely give them a look on Facebook. They actually only stream on Facebook right now. So just something to think about, Mike. You guys want to multi-stream? I can show you how. It's actually really easy.
There you go.
But anyway.
So I agree. Like, Seth needs to teach the Seth MacFarlane method, but I think it goes further than that. Have you guys watched the Deep Space Nine documentary, What You've Left Behind?
What We Left Behind, yes.
Okay. In it, they go through the Deep Space Nine writing method, how they wrote the episodes, what the process was. I have a feeling Seth does something very, very similar, because I seriously doubt he's written every one of those episodes just himself. He probably has a team, if only to flesh out dialogue.
What was his name? Brandon Braga wrote episode 9, actually.
Yeah, there you go.
Or was it? No, it was episode 8, I think. Either way, he did write an episode this season. And Brandon Braga, for those who don't know, was also one of the big. He was one of the big names under the Berman era of Star Trek.
Mm-hmm. And quite good, actually. He's if I recall correctly, he was always the quote-unquote Klingon expert. Like, anytime you were doing a Klingon episode, they brought him into primarily Helmet because that was his shtick. So the idea, though, of how they did it, they'd sit down and go, okay, here's the idea for the episode. This is going to be the A plot. Let's get some B plot ideas, right? And then they would go, okay, how can we mesh these together? How can we make the scene transitions work so that it gives the audience the opportunity to build, like, to pause and breathe long enough to get the message we're putting forward in the last section and move forward? They thought about that. They thought about where to put the breaks in. They thought about where you needed some levity and some humor to balance out the seriousness of some of the plots. I can't imagine Seth does anything different. I think that the difference primarily has more to do with the writers he's brought in and their attitude towards the work. To me, it always felt like the primary issue Star Trek was having, at least over the last couple of years, has been they've kind of forgotten what the spirit, they went with the letter of what Trek is instead of the spirit of what Trek is. Because at the end of the day, like the Orville, Trek is all about optimism, right? And that hopeful view of the future, regardless of what you view that future to be, you could have hope that your idea of it was going to be possible or come to fruition in some way. And I feel like a lot of other modern sci-fi has veered away from it, but the Orville dove straight at it head first, right? I mean, we've heard a couple of times from our friends, and I think from us even, that we've said, like, no, if I was going to serve under a captain, I'd want to serve under Ed. Mm-hmm. Because, he feels like the kind of guy that I would get to have the best adventures with and stand the best chance of coming home again. But that speaks to that level of optimism, right? Like, you want to be there. You want to be part of that. And, when I hear somebody like, when we're all talking about, what fantasy worlds would we like to live in, right? I mean, somebody will joke around going like, I want to go to Hogwarts, or somebody will be like, I want to go visit Babylon 5, or I want to, be on Ed's ship. Game of Thrones fans are like, nah, I'm good. And, but the problem is new Trek fans are also doing the, nah, I'm good. Right? And that's not ideal.
No, it's not.
And not just something I just remembered is the fact that like Star Trek used to be notorious for the red shirt casualty, right? And now as the Orville does its thing, there's almost no red shirt casualties.
Also, real quick,
throughout the Orville,
we got a fan mail from Istra. It's a heart. Thank you, Istra, or Isteri. I'm gonna butcher your name until I get a proper pronunciation figured out. I'm gonna guess it's Istaria or Asteria.
Well,
both
we love you too.
And if it's all lowercase, maybe it's Listeria. Istaria. Right, Corione.
Nailed it.
Hey, sometimes, a broken clock gets stuff right too. So, and yeah, we love you too. And thank you so much for being here and watching with us.
Yes, we appreciate the support and, whatever you're comfortable with. You want to listen to us BS the whole time? I mean, that's going to happen regardless. But obviously, we love we do encourage participation. I mean, that's what we're starting with Terminalist, but more on that.
So yeah,
Lowell, thank you. Istaria fan mail again. Lowell, thank you. No problem. I love this podcast. That actually a lot to hear that. Thank you.
It may seem impossible, but Petey's heart actually grew 2 sizes.
Shut up.
And there we go. Now it's back down to size.
Yeah, it's back to proper size. Exactly.
But you know what?
Oh, crap.
You gotta watch that, man. But,
yeah, can't be. That's a new one from. Or no, I haven't done that in a while. Hey, so when you try to inhale water, for some reason,
don't do that.
I decided to send it out my nose. I haven't done that since I was like 5.
As much as a ratings boon might be of you drowning on air, I'd rather not do it. On top of that, let's be honest. Your old Coast Guard buddies would never let you live it down if you drowned on live YouTube.
Yeah, but I'd already dead, so...
bring them... Well, no, we'd just bring them on in your spot every week just to roast you at the beginning.
Mikey, you still watching? Looks like you got a potential slot to be famous.
And dude, don't worry. If your friends were going to roast you for drowning on YouTube, I'd bring you back just so you could hear it.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Anytime.
Yeah. See, this is why I love this show. We just interrupt our own discussion with fan letters and then jokes, and then we forget where we're at, which is, hey, you know what?
Well, we should probably cover a little bit about the plot of the episode.
Right. So the plot of the series. Okay, watch your words.
Season
PD.
Finale.
Finale. Season 3 of 20. Finale of the Orville. Basically, it really is just it basically is a B plot the whole time. A lot of the plot. So I do actually have a gripe about this one. I was disappointed with Bortus's Elvis performance. I was hoping that by the end there would have at least been Gordon giving him an at least you tried cake. Like, hey, you know what? You really get into it. And instead it was very... It kind of mirrors the same issue I've had with the Mocklins this season, in that they've kind of been taken as a potentially mysterious and race that has a lot more depth hidden and just kind of get pancaked into one dimension. So hopefully season 4 will bring some more nuance to the Mocklins, because I really love because we actually did see nuance with the Mocklins. We just saw nuance with the Mocklins who don't live on Mocklis. That's the one, that's the downside. But overall, it was still hilarious all the way through. It had good moments. Bortus's cringe toast was very reminiscent of the worst episodes of The Office. I loved to hate every minute of it. It was really just
Michael
really
Scott
good at
with-
being. Oh yeah, the total Michael Scott toast. Holy crap!
And
Michael Scott toast after the wheelchair incident.
yeah,
He
exactly.
just stands up there and stealing my moment.
And as Ardeni pointed out, the sandwich returned.
Yes,
We had our time traveling sandwich was
Called it.
finally home.
There's a lot more involved with how that would have worked. Seeing as, I guess that's the other thing about the device. Well, no, that makes sense because when Gordon got sent back, he somehow ended up on Earth. So it is a transport time device. It doesn't just do time travel, or I'm sorry, it did. Rest in peace, Aronov device.
Wait. They don't have the beaming technology yet, do they?
No, they don't.
No, they do not. If
So
they
what
even
if
do,
this
if it's even
is
possible in that universe.
Precursor to that tech. Well, that's what I'm thinking. Is that was a display of the first taste of that technology.
Fan mail from
this
Nemesis
could-
of Eden. Hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Well, Nemesis of Eden, I'm here to talk about the Orville with you and everybody else. I'm having a great day.
Yeah, and honestly, so long as you guys in the chat are having a great time, I'm having a great time.
That's what we're here to try and help.
And I'm
you.
just gonna have a good time regardless of what you guys are doing. I'm just happy to be here.
But yeah, so the B plot that is the A plot of this episode is the android Isaac and Dr. Finn are getting married, and they're going through all the traditional human wedding rituals, except that not everyone on the ship is humans, so the cross-cultural foibles really come into play here. For example, when Isaac found out it was traditional to invite his family, he invited every
his family.
single member of his species to the wedding.
I was on
And-
the edge of my seat for that. And I was on the edge of my seat for that because I was worried because when he said that, yeah, we'll leave a skeleton contingent behind and bring all the units, and I'm like, oh crap, this is going to be the moment where the Krill are going to take advantage. They're going to destroy Kalon. They're going to, and this is where the alliance is going to fall apart because they're going to think the whole wedding was a trap and it's just the end of the season's going to end all bad. And then it didn't. I was happy about that.
Although I don't think
thought
you've
it
ever
was just
seen so many.
great how the Kalons went off about, are they imprisoning you?
Yes.
No.
That was great.
Well, kind of.
Well, she's gonna be my wife. It's a two-way prison. World's smallest handcuffs. Sorry, I
But-
shouldn't say world's smallest handcuffs. It's the entire galaxy's smallest handcuffs now.
Haha, fair enough. Yeah, the look on everyone's face when every single Kalon warship showed up at the same time, and there's this poor little Orville sitting there surrounded by an entire armada, was just great. Like, everyone's like, well, we're dead. Okay.
This
Yeah,
is
The
it.
difference between the Orville solo and the entire fleet command
Yep.
in that flower formation.
Yep.
It's like, oh, this is how they could have won.
It was absolutely perfect. The wedding ceremony itself was quite beautiful, was quite moving. It really made you feel like you've been watching this relationship progress the entire time, and that you were getting a payoff of the Isaac Finn relationship.
Yes.
I also was never, one piece. I was also never quite as terrified as Dr. Finn when Dr. Finn goes after Lamar.
Yeah.
That was perfectly done. Perfectly done.
Yes. I love that this is one of the first times where we get to fall in love with a cyborg who has an actually dark history that is also not exactly connected to that history because he's a second generation after the Kalon War. And so we get to fall in love with the naive AI, But then also one of the characters does, and by season 3 they're married, rather than like Data where it's like which one is he gonna marry, or they're just going at the very end. Like there's so many different people that try to fall in love with Data, and it's like, okay, this is really hard to follow. It doesn't work. And with Isaac, it did work. Like, and it explained it in the like in terms of the universe. Like he doesn't love, but because he's had so many daily interactions with Dr. Finn, eliminating her from his life messes up his life. Like that's part of marriage that a lot of people never talk about, is like there's a lot of things that you benefit from, you know, in terms of being able to rely on them to do things you don't want to do in that moment, that kind of stuff. And that's what Isaac demonstrated in season 2. And then when Claire was like scared for her boys, who was there? Isaac. And how did Isaac react? No, that's my job. That's what I do. And Claire's like, wait, you do that for us? Like, you keep calling us lower level individuals. And he's like, yeah, but you belong here. Like, I'm smarter than you, but I still think you should be here too.
Yeah. Oh, we got a little bit of fan mail from Istara. I'd marry Data. Eek, 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 eek. Listen, if your Android is squeaking because of friction, I do recommend a good, oil regimen.
WD-40.
Yep. You gotta keep them from squeaking. Unless that's your thing, and if that's your thing, hey, you do you.
It'd drive me bonkers if I had to listen to Gears every time they got out of bed. I'd be like, all right, dude, oil now, go.
Yeah. Hard coil. Let's go visit Mos Eisley. You need an oil bath.
Yeah,
Exactly.
well, and who knows, at quantum speeds, you could probably get there in under 100 years.
There you go.
Yeah, it was just a great send-off, and hopefully just a send-off for the season, not for the show. I do appreciate Seth deciding to, instead of playing the old dirty trick of, I'm going to do a cliffhanger, then they'll have to renew. No, they don't. He played to his strengths and decided to run with the uncertainty. And I mean, through the subliminal messaging of calling the episode Future Unknown, and then of course having some renewal at the beginning of the episode. He wasn't trying to say anything that renew the Orville, damn it. So yeah, I think it's great. We have 3 seasons of just awesome, near perfection overall.
Yep.
So yeah, I think we'll probably reach the time now to go around the room and give our rating on our 7-point scale. Well, we'll start with the episode, then we'll do the series. So Corion, why don't you start us off? What do you rate this episode as?
So I would say the episode, I'm going to give it my very rare 7 out of 7. If only because this was probably the absolute best way they could have ended this season and still left just a little couple of pieces for us to want another season to wrap those pieces up with.
And real quick, fan mail from Nemesis of Eden. I'm out jogging. I'm going to lurk. Well, we greatly appreciate that. That's awesome. We're glad that you have us in your ear while you're out running around. That's fantastic.
Yep. If anything will make you run, it'll be listening to us. So,
right. Yeah. Run faster.
That.
Run faster. You can't get us. You can't escape my voice. Well, I mean, you can, but please don't escape my voice.
They're right behind you. Don't turn around.
No, wait. I need the watch time. Come back. I was kidding.
So yeah. I think that for the season, I would give it a 6. I do think there were pieces that, are more my nitpicks than anything else.
Episode 2. Sorry.
You feel that way about episode 2.
I know.
I actually feel that way about episode 3. So there are bits and pieces that I feel could have been done better, but overall, it's a fantastic watch. It's completely worth watching. Give it multiple rewatches so that their corporate overlords see how much we care about this series.
Yeah, it's hitting.
We care much this season and get more.
It's hitting Disney Plus tomorrow. Sorry. It's hitting Disney Plus tomorrow. So, yes, if you have access and you can make the time, absolutely, please get those watches in, get those views in. Just like on this show, every single view counts. Every single minute of watch is going to go, because here's the thing. Disney clearly is struggling with some of its other properties. And we're not going to get into that on this episode, but it's pretty obvious that there's a divide.
Well, here I can spell it out from a marketing perspective. It's literally about the amount of eyes, influence, and in terms of how often did you put your eyes on it. And now they aren't legally allowed to record through your camera without your consent, so they have to assume that if it's playing, those are people investing their time. Because like, we all know the age-old adage from SpongeBob, time is money. And in that essence, that may mean you can earn money or you can spend money, but from a producer's perspective, from somebody who's producing a product, it's the time you spend with that product that shows the value of the product, because that's what they take to the next party. That's what they take when they're trying to produce their next big thing. So by taking the time to rewatch, even though we just finished it, you're doing something for someone you actually care about. And if you don't care, like, that's how you show it. You just don't watch it in two places. But if you do, like us, and like I'm going to show my support for the show, the only way I can, because I'm a poor person, is by watching it again on Disney Plus. And that's just what it is. They literally need the number of times it was viewed. And pauses and repauses and plays, those counts as multiple views, because that means you saw the title of it again and go, oh yeah, I meant to finish that. And that's like, oh, that's 2 views because the first time you watched it, you got busy, but you came back because you weren't bored. And that tells them, like, that's a product worth reproducing. Like, consumers matter. You really do.
I would also say, too, that, the Disney corporate overlords do pay attention to what we do on YouTube and in videos like this. So, wise and powerful, mouse overlords, we know you watch us. And we just want you to know.
Okay, just get the balls out of your mouth, man.
Well, I was just gonna say,
it's okay to tickle a little bit, but Jesus, dude, not on the show.
Fair enough, but I want you all to know, hey, man, we really want the Orville. We want more of this. Put your money here, because we will make it worth your while. And
that's what I'm trying to say. In bringing up Kurtzman-Trek and the compare and contrast again, that there's a clear difference, and there's clearly one product that is going to win and make you lots of money. Like there's why there isn't Orville merchandise. Let me put it to you like this, Disney. You know what? One of you guys hold a second. I'm gonna grab something real quick and to make my point visually.
Yeah, so I mean, when it comes to models and stuff like that, I mean, I know Eagle Moss put out a model of the Orville. And that's a really great thing, but I mean, I've been seeing more and more people cosplaying for Orville than I thought was sane. And, you guys have a certifiable hit with the fans on your hands.
Not just a certifiable hit in terms of, like, it's perfectly good writing. It's everything that every writer can actually, like, enjoy and accept as good writing, especially when you compare it to contrast to all other titles in the genre. It stacks with everything good, and it stacks way above everything bad. Yeah. And in that essence, it also tracks in everything fashionable. I would much rather wear an Orville uniform than I would ever wear any year of Star Trek. All of their uniforms, except for the most recent ones where they have the, like, sweater, they have jumpsuits and band uniforms, and I am not doing that again. But even the sweater, I'm like, I can just buy a sweater and put a medallion on it. But that Orville jacket, I would spend money for the Orville edition so that I could, like, rep the Orville, because A, it looks like a really nice biker jacket. Like, it looks like if you put a padding in it, you could save some lives on some bikes.
Yeah.
And B, the slacks look comfortable. They look just like my Lulus.
Yeah.
Like, that's quality.
So I would like to show you guys. This is getting a little more personal than I probably should on the internet, but whatever. This right here is my old Port of Subs kids meal box. Now, Port of Subs is a sandwich chain which you have to try at least once in your life, but more on that later. Now, this box I have had since I was a small kid. Here is what I have inside this box. Let's see if I can find a good one. It is, of course, my entire Star Trek Micro Machine collection. These are all little tiny plastic. Yeah, I made this one because some of them broke, so I just decided to glue them all together as like a. These are not the scale, of course, because that's the Vulcan shuttle, which is now acting as giant artillery. I made my own little frigate. But these are all tiny little fun ships I used to play with all the time when I was a kid. Emphasis on the used to. And I like to take these out from time to time. And oh yeah, like, what else I keep in here? Oh, look at that. Star Trek Tom badges. And of course the my favorite one that does need a little bit of a cleaning, my Wrath of Khan badge. Okay, why am I bringing my toys out to show you? Because if the Orville puts things out like this, if we get micro machines or something similar, like these Star Trek ships, little Maquis Raider there, I will buy them. Oh, here's the cool one. This is the one John and everybody liked to go and lose when I was a kid, too. See, it's the Enterprise D patches. John, you remember breaking some of these, don't you?
Yeah, my son broke one, too, at Grandpa's house.
Thanks.
One of the ornaments.
Yeah, and then my DS9, which has
nice
some battle
DS9.
damage. Yeah.
There you go.
My point in bringing these out is, I'll do the Dreadnought one more time. Again, you give me Orville merchandise, you give me Krill ships, you give me Union ships, you put a box available for a reasonable price, I'm gonna buy them. You give me the badges.
You with Lego?
If you partner with Lego, oh yeah, I'll be all over that.
Listen, you give me the hand blaster there with like a recording of Isaac, like a setting on it for a recording of Isaac just saying pew pew. I will buy the heck out of that. Like,
I will buy them for an entire child's birthday party and then not give them to any of the children.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, yeah, these are definitely these yeah, I might share like one with any future children I may or may not have, but even then it's going to be on a loan basis.
Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, the only reason why I can't see you guys not wanting to put out merch for this show is because you're too worried that we will just mob Seth to get it all signed. And frankly, that's a great problem to have.
That is a fair
That's really
concern.
fair.
Yeah, well, I mean,
but also that's where Comic-Con came from. Like, people wanted to get their stuff signed, and like a lot of people I know think that it's mostly about reselling it for memorabilia collectors and stuff like that. But like, I used to get
gonna be
every
very hard for him
single
to sign.
Boise
This
State
isn't very
football
big.
player's signature. I used to do it every football game that I could, only because it was just fun to go up and see the players up close and personal. Like, I don't ever know where any of that memorabilia went. I don't even think most of those players ever left Boise, Idaho, because it's hard. But like, the signature stuff, it was fun, and it would be really nice to be able to show physical support for the Orville in the form and fashion that's like for Comic-Con. Like, an Isaac outfit would blow me away. I would wear it all the time. It'd be hilarious.
And Disney execs, we all know that you guys love our money, and you know, I don't really like giving you my money.
Hold on 1 second, guys. Hold on 1 second.
On for you, or because I mean, we got a show going, we kind of have to keep the dialogue, especially since we're a podcast.
Yeah, we're on hold. Moment of silence for Corion's disappearance.
An Isaac face mask, you say?
Yeah, I got a better view of the inside of your house.
Yeah, there you go.
They've invaded.
Yeah, there you go. So, no, I'm actually working on an Isaac cosplay, because I think that
so
needs to
great.
happen.
Yeah, it does, and that's just it too. Is you give us you give us access to uniform props and stuff. Like, okay, you got a bunch of legacy Star Trek fans who are pissed off that Star Trek isn't as good as it's supposed to be. That will flock to your conventions. They will buy your merchandise. We love geeking out and buying this stuff. It's fun. It's part of the experience. It's when we can create our own adventures.
I would even go so far as to say that 80% of all of the other sci-fi diehards, 80% of each diehard is going to also be an Orville diehard. Because, like, while Disney and while Seth MacFarlane can only get out there and produce one series, I've watched all of them again this year.
Yeah.
So, like, I can enjoy and own multiple memorabilia items.
Yeah. And of course,
at the same time.
Yeah, pardon the nuclear weapon going off just now. That would be H. Marie walking in the door.
All good.
Yeah.
But yeah, honestly, we could use the merch. Like, I want a Kelly and Ed, marriage spat playset. Like, I'll buy it, like.
Yeah, fan mail from Galinda. I spend money on merch. Look over at New Vegas Ranger helmet and T-51 Power Armor helmet on my shelf.
Nice. Nice Fallout gear. Those are good choices. Yeah, you guys can't actually, I guess you could maybe have seen it while I was wearing the mirrored mask, but all around me, except for, back into the occult library here, it's all Transformers memorabilia. Well, and a chainsaw signed by Bruce Campbell, right?
What?
I have a chainsaw signed by Bruce Campbell.
Okay, but I want to, like, is it a functioning chainsaw or a prop?
Do you want to see it?
Yes. Bruce Campbell and chainsaw in the same sentence. Coriel, what the? Just now finding out about this.
Yeah, so
he's one of my favorite characters on Burn Notice.
Long and short of it is, I went to a Bruce Campbell book signing in Toronto.
Okay. I was going to say, how the hell did you get a chainsaw into a convention?
Well, and while I was at the book signing, I had the book, and I've got this chainsaw in a bag, and I literally said, "Excuse me, Mr. Campbell, would you mind signing my chainsaw?" Which is probably the weirdest thing I've ever said to a celebrity. And of course, the two security guards on either side are kind of giving this look like, well, we're about to have to bust ahead. But behold.
Okay, it's a little torn. But,
it's a little Home Depot chainsaw.
No, that's exact. I'm sure he was excited for that because that's perfect.
He was laughing his face off.
So much funnier if it was one of the dual ones.
It would have been great.
In a bag.
I was really tempted to, before I went and got it, repaint it to an S-Smart chainsaw.
Just be wearing the same outfit Dwight was wearing when he tried to buy the figurine from the office, just covered in beet juice.
Yeah, right.
And carrying a chainsaw. Do you mind signing this? You're my favorite author/actor.
Yeah, no. But yeah, I thought it was great, and I've got a couple of great books signed by Bruce Campbell. I'm thinking at some point I'm going to have to get his Pizza Papa figure and get him to sign that as well, because that was a hilarious little moment. Yeah, I mean, but this is the point. We collect all kinds of bizarre random stuff from the things we love, and we don't get rid of them. We don't resell them for the most part. We keep them because they remind us of how much joy these things have brought to us. And getting it signed is like a badge of honor.
Excuse to bring it up. Yeah, getting it signed is absolutely a badge of honor. But also, like, one of the hardest things I've learned about, like, being an adult in the real world is, like, you don't get to talk about your favorite things to all the kids in your class anymore. So, like, when new people come over, they have no idea what your favorite things are. But if you have these micro machines, you have the memorabilia, you have it posted up, it's like, I can now have people be like, oh, what's this? I've never heard of the Orville. Let me tell you. That's how those conversations start. It's called word of mouth advertising. Disney.
Oh yeah, and Galinda's got some fan mail for us. Fan is supposedly short for fanatic. I'm okay with that. Yeah, I think we are too.
Also, in her opinion,
as long as it's the healthy fanatic.
Yeah, I agree. Right? And in her opinion, apparently New Vegas is the Deep Space Nine of the Fallout franchise. Well, that gives me I may have to try it out.
I would argue it probably is, but if you haven't played any of the Fallout games, I recommend at least going through a couple of Let's Plays of the first couple of games. Okay. So you get a general feel for the world before you step into New Vegas. I've
kind of always... Even better, Fallout 4 is on Game Pass.
True.
Have some fun with it. It has tons of really fun mods, so you can go from like however bad it was at the beginning and just soup that up right away before you even hit play on the first scene. Mm-hmm. And it works. It's really good. It's really fun. And then go back to Vegas. Vegas has all of the mods as well, but it's a smaller, less open world game.
Yeah. See, I even have obscure ships to continue, hammering the merchandise. This showed up in one whole episode, and I have it. Okay.
Yeah. Again, the medical ship.
Yes. Yeah. The past steward, which now has a tier 6 version in Star Trek Online. And of course, how could we forget? Now, these are not to scale. That's the one bummer side, is that they're all the same size. But, it gives you a chance. Actually, these two are.
Nice.
But yeah, no, I mean, if you give us Orville merchandise, you will not regret it, Disney. And that's why we want a season 4. We at least want 7 seasons. That's a standard Star Trek 7 fan mail from Galinda. Oh yeah, definitely watch some Let's Plays of the older ones, and Fallout 4 has the best mods.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we were starting, and we need to wrap this up, so we're gonna move on to our next segment. John, episode rating and season overall.
It's a 7 out of 7 for me. A+. I think a lot of people hold the whole 10 out of 10 thing in this high regard. I think A+ should be attainable. A C is the standard, and an A+ is the goal, and I think this show knocked it out of the park. While there are tons of things that we can have problems with, I don't doubt that they are just the tendrils that will make up season 5, season 4, season 6. Because everything, like if we had tried to watch season 1 the way we just watched season 3, I bet you we would have all those same complaints at the end of season 1 and at the end of season 2. And yet season 3 comes in and starts pulling on some of those loose threads, and suddenly season 3 is a masterpiece. Just like season 1, just like season 2. So I think the A+ comes back 3 seasons in a row of A+s. Go for it. Like whatever you like. For me, the season 2 or episode 2, the empty space, that's the most terrifying part of space. And no sci-fi aside from like the ones trying to scare you seem to really play a lot into it. And so now there's this whole other realm within the universe that we can go visit, and I want to see more. I'm excited for that kind of stuff.
Yep. Fan mail from Galinda. Orville is amazing, and New Horizons is an incredible season. And by the way, listeners in the chat, if you guys want to give your personal rating, please do. We can read it out real quick before we move on to Terminal List. For me, it's the show as a whole, all 3 seasons considered, is definitely a 7. And it's because of the things that I dislike that I still give it such high praise. Now, that said, for me, the episode gets a 6 out of 7 for the issues I have with Bortus not being given any kind of... It was just... The whole Elvis scene was awkward. The awkwardness worked for me on the champagne, on the toast, but it failed on it. It fell on its face for me when it came to the episode, when it came to the Elvis thing. It's just, I could see the direction they tried, and it just didn't work for me. That said, other people might like it. It might find it funny. I kind of did, but I was like, nah, it should have been more of a, all right, Bortus, you tried. This was funny. It was great. And then we get the toast, and it's like, okay, we're back to awkward Bortus. Instead, we just had awkward Bortus throughout the whole episode, and I didn't like that.
But hats off to supportive Clyden.
It's compensating for not being there. So, yeah, it was good. It was still good, and the season overall again gets a 6 out of 7. Because, like I said, there were certain things that it missed the mark with me, but as far as a whole show goes, I would absolutely. Well, I probably am gonna try watching it again on D+ in the near future, and it's not just because of desperate rewatch to try and get the show boosted, but honestly, again, Disney, if you're listening, and you should be, I'm gonna watch it again because I want to. The same reason that I like watching Firefly. The same reason that I like watching Deep Space Nine. For the same reason I like, screw it, I'll throw King of the Hill in there. It's good. Yeah. It's enjoyable. It's quality. Galinda, fan mail. I liked Isaac inviting all the Kalons to the wedding better than the Elvis thing. Yes, I completely agree. That, like I said, the Kalon leaving had me on edge. I was like, oh, are we going to get the rug pulled out? Are we going to get a bad cliffhanger?
Mm-hmm.
And Arendi fan mail says, I agree with PDY, smart man or woman, or however you identify. 7 for the season, 6 for the finale. Cringe can be okay, but that was a bit too much. Yes, that's yep. You rephrased exactly what I said perfectly. And I actually mean that genuinely. I just realized that could have come off as cynicism, and I'm sorry. That's not how I meant to sound. I really do appreciate when people agree with me. It makes the conversation move on to the next thing. So, I think we've covered all the stuff that we have for today. Go away now. Oh, wait, sorry, that's not our thing.
No, let's start on the terminal list, man. It's
yeah, I gotta get it set up. I gotta do the thing, and let's see, down small, and then off. I think we're set. Oh, I actually do need to put, so the terminal list came out July 1st, and I had no idea what it was about. And so I was very excited when John said, hey, we got to cover this. And there was a book attached, and apparently the author was involved with a lot of the consulting on the project. As an aspiring,
which is a good sign.
As an aspiring and struggling author myself, Randy said the Kalon fleet did make me laugh. Yes, yeah, exactly. By the end, I was very happy with all the jokes. All right, moving on.
Old conversation, I'm over it.
Yeah, old news, Randy, like 20 years ago. Come back in time and try again. No, we do, like I said. Back to terminal list.
You be nice to Arendi. Arendi's nice to us.
I know. I'm being nice. I'm just being nice in my ball-busting way of being nice. If I don't make fun of you, it means I don't like you.
Fair.
No, but I get it. There is a couple of degrees of separation, and I do want to make sure, like, Arendi, if I do, any time I overstep, and this goes for anybody at any point in time, if you feel I've overstepped, fine. Say so. We can talk it out like reasonable people and go from there. My worldview is not the correct worldview. I know, surprised to hear someone actually say that. So what I might find funny, you might not, and that's okay. We can get past it. We can move forward. We can figure out what works best for everybody. And what works best for me is the terminal list. This is going to be one of the few times where if you decide to watch this show before reading the book, might not be a terrible idea. I started reading the book. I haven't finished it yet. I'm going to finish this week. I really, right out of the gate, that thing takes off. It's good pacing while I also listen to it on double speed. It's a solid piece of entertainment so far. The show, I do want to make clear that what I'm about to when I discuss what I don't like, it's not because the show itself is bad. I want to make perfectly clear. The show is good in its own right. There's just stuff that it misses from the book that I thought would have been better. That said, let's go around the room. Corione, what did you not like about episode 1 and 2 of the terminal list, if anything?
Well, okay, so we know a little bit about the plot so far. Like we've determined that this was a SEAL team. They were on a mission that went completely south. And when he comes back, the information that the military is presenting him about the mission does not mesh with his memories. The problem is we don't actually know if his memories are genuine or not, because they make it very clear that he's got some sort of concussion problem or something along those lines. And to be honest, I am okay with an episode or two of well, we're not sure whether this is, they actually are out to get him or it's all in his in his head. But that's about all I'm willing to do. I am not willing to sit there the entire season going, well, is it ninjas or is it hallucinatory ninjas? I need something a little more concrete than that. I need to know what's going on. I don't care if it's something stupidly outrageous like aliens implanted memories. It doesn't matter to me, but I need to have a general idea. Even if the character doesn't know, we as the audience should know whether what he's seeing is genuine or not.
Yeah. That's
how I feel.
We do have to break a conversation real quick. Randy Fanmail says, I do find the whole ridiculously sized number pronoun identify as ludicrous. My answer is usually Apache attack helicopter just to get a kick out of the reaction. Funny enough, Aaron D, maybe you're just me from the future, because that's how I used to identify for a while, kind of as sort of my response to that. That said, however, John has it on the banner right there. We are about restoring respect in a discourse, and we don't want people who I identify as a Galinda, says Galinda. We are all about having fun and making jokes, but we also want to make sure that people understand that if you do feel a certain way and it's important to you, we will try to do our best to be respectful. Yes, I believe that humor is the cure to all of our social problems, because if we can all learn to laugh at each other, then we don't really have any conflicts that much. And I think that's something we do to get back to. At the same time, though, we also have to be respectful of other people's where they're at in life. People go through phases. Maybe someone does need to identify as 5 different genders at one time to get through whatever it is they're getting through in life. There's any number of reasons for it. Sorry to get a little serious here. I myself have researched the whole gender dysphoria as an example, and it is a real thing that people do struggle with, and I would rather try and help those people to get through those situations. And so that's why I want to make sure that when we miss the mark with the jokes, it's not because we are trying to be mean at all. I'm not going to censor anybody. I also want to make that perfectly clear. Restoring respect into discourse means, Corione, you've said it best.
Yeah.
Means listening to people. And so, yeah. But thanks for the clarification, attack helicopter. There's actually a funny meme, though, that came with that I really liked. It was the Jordan Peele sweating, and someone said, when you identify as an attack helicopter, but World War III is about to start.
Yeah.
So you're getting called into service, into battle.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm going to say this right now to everybody. Look, if you feel a certain way and you would like to be identified a way, and I haven't immediately, intuited what that identification is, look, just pull me aside and let me know.
Exactly. And
I will 100% respect it. And please, all I ask in exchange is understand that currently I am still human. And, until I ascend to godhood and know all, I can't necessarily know all. And sometimes I need to get the information in order to get it correct. And if I get it wrong, hey, I'll freely admit I sometimes get it wrong. But if you just give me the info I need to make it right, I will do my best to do so.
Yep. Moving back on to the discussion.
Yeah, so let's get into seals beating up on spooks and so forth.
Yeah, exactly. John, what did you not like about Journalist episode 1 and 2, if anything?
Oh, I'll save my comments for the general discussion. As I've stated many times before, I watch everything as soon as it becomes available, and I only recommended this show and then basically demanded that it be our next subject of discussion because, yeah, this show it only goes up and up and up and up. So, everything you don't like about episode 1.
Yep. And as
and for the record, I did appreciate the bride.
Terrifying part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as a reminder to those listening and to those of you that are, whether it's on the replay or live, this is basically our community watch through show. We're going to be doing one episode a week starting this next week. So we just did 1 and 2. So if you haven't quite seen it yet, maybe we can persuade you into trying. And like I said, definitely give the book a read. So the reason why we have what we did not like is because I did start the book, and I have things about the show's adaptation that I do not like. And so I'm just going to go ahead and get into those, because again, I haven't read the book, so I'm not going to spoil any major ending spoilers because I don't know any yet. So to get into it, so some of the sequences in the book I think should have been put back into the show. One of the biggest ones is the way that his wife and daughter get taken out, which, spoilers, guys, his wife and daughter die, but it is a big part of it's not a huge, if you knew nothing about Terminalist, well, now you do, sorry. But as I said, this is a comparison discussion anyway. So the way they do it in the book is they do the whole operation, it goes south, and he's going back home, and he goes and he gets checked out by medical, but then he goes to, he's not quite ready. By the time he starts going home...
Buzz, I'm gonna call a whole pause on this whole conversation. You're about to ruin the rest of the season.
How?
I'm not gonna ruin it while telling you how you're about to ruin it. Everything you want, it just comes in a different order.
Oh, so you have read the book?
Really good. No, I have not read the book. But I was waiting for you to start getting close, and then you started treading on episode 3 and 4. Like, you're knocking on the doors of episode 3 and 4, and that is why I'm like, no, pause it.
I guess
your frustration with the show. No, I'm serious. Like when I say it resolves itself, like, there's the plot line of the actual legal case against the main character about him being a potential PTSD vet gone crazy, right? So there is a legal case going on. Then there is the investigative journalism being done by the journalist who's like trying to figure out a bigger scheme that plays into the whole plot of the story. And then there's the main character living his life despite all of this stuff that's going on around him, and he has no idea why any of it's happening. And I think the show, especially in the first 2 episodes, does a wonderful adaptation of Corey, and you're like, I don't even know if he's fight.
Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not going to touch on that part. That's not what I was getting at.
But
I was going to leave that alone.
The death comes back in more episodes. As the season goes on, not only do you get to know the daughter and the wife, you already watched them die, and now you're getting to know their backstory.
Right, and so that's the point I'm getting to is the sequence where they die in the book is drastically different, and I thought it was executed better.
Right, and what I'm saying is they actually, if it's the way that I think it went, and I don't want you to get into it because I'm
gonna start. You know what? Let me start on
as a flashback in later.
Let me start on some of the other brief parts. Why don't you hit me up on backstage chat and what you think I'm gonna say, and we'll go from there. And so one of the major issues I have is the fact that he's got a massive arsenal of guns. Most of which are illegal in California, and his military buddies are like cool with it. That is not how the military works at all. The military is extremely strict about following local ordinance. There's a whole thing with training. There's a whole thing with training about when you are required to know the local laws, because the UCMJ is not going to save your ass. It's not designed to do that. It's designed to throw the book at you. And so having illegal guns in California and superiors, especially NCIS investigators, knowing that's just not something they can be like, it'll be fine. Who cares? My other big gripe and issue was when he's
we didn't see that the guns were, unless, like, if I'm wrong, I don't remember seeing any actually for sure machine guns.
He's got
a lot of look-alike.
What looks like an M14. He's got it mounted in his garage, and yes, I got excited and brought mine out because I enjoyed seeing all the M14. He's got one of these, and it's mounted in his garage. Now, if it's an M1A, he might be okay because of the stock being part of the
I just
prop right
don't
here.
remember
because of the stock being this way. This is California compliant, but if it's an M14 that's a fully automatic rifle, that is absolutely no. That'll get you thrown in California special prison. I don't know there's one.
I've got a little bit of a story here for you, because my dad used to serve with a guy who did not understand the concept that it's far worse to deal with military police than civilian. They were at let's just say a regimental celebration with beverages of a refreshing nature. And there may have been significant consumption of such beverages. And when a police officer started throwing around crazy terms like drunk and disorderly, this person informed him that he could not be arrested by civilian authorities because he was military. So the local constabulary, upon realizing technically he was correct, contacted the military police. I don't think I've ever seen a person, a guy who, could do a fairly decent impression of a gorilla, suddenly get about, 2 feet shorter, hat in hands, apologizing to the police officer for wasting his time, in such a meek and mild fashion immediately following. So, yeah. Military people are smarter than to screw around with local laws. It's just it doesn't happen that way.
Yeah. So it's the fact, and then when they're sitting on this, when he's sitting on the sailboat with the other former Navy SEAL, and he's playing with his pistol on the deck in a marina in California, possibly on a military. I'm just like, guys, you took way too. This is not. You should have been inside the cab. No sane, law-abiding gun owner plays with guns out in the open like that, let alone in California.
That's the one dude that would do that, because he's not a former SEAL. He is a CIA spook who trained at Buds.
What?
So his best friend,
Ayla Kiddish's character.
Yeah, he's a CIA spook. I want to say when the show starts, he's a contractor, freelance. But when he and the main character meet, they are in Buds. Them is a spook, and one of them's trying to be a SEAL. And Buds is the underwater demolition scuba course that all Navy SEALs have to take. And it is basically 9 weeks of pure torture, 9 or 13 weeks of just pure torture, as seen in literally every Navy SEAL movie you ever watch. Yeah. Almost every Navy SEAL movie since 2004 has done their best to hit it perfectly, because SEALs love to talk about Buds.
Well, I mean, and that's one of those few times, it's not like one of those situations like, hey, I'm at CrossFit. That's earned. I've read about Buds training. I couldn't do it. Even if I try, it's one of those things that you get praise for failing. Like, if you even tried to be a Navy SEAL, you ring the bell. That is not considered failure. That is this is that kind of program that is meant to weed out the most determined in the end, because it's literally a physical. It's discriminatory when it comes to physical conditioning, and it has to be. These guys they're basically Spartans. That's their job. They're supposed to be straight up human killing machines, and so that's what Bud's training does. And I would not have the physical prowess to do it. I would have been. Now, I've read Marcus Luttrell's Lone Survivor, and I'm just like, I thought Coast Guard boot camp was hard. That was, I just wouldn't be. Let's see. So, yeah, the gun's out there. The way that some of the sequences go, like I said, I felt that the book did a better job. So, this actually isn't going to be touched on in any of the future episodes from what we've talked about behind the scenes, so just bear with me. In the book, when he's driving home, he starts, the book reads it off in a way like he's walked through the door, he's getting ready to walk through the door, and the daughter's happy to see him, and him and the wife, they have a nice evening, it's all pleasant, and And then all of a sudden he's brought into reality when he rounds the corner and there's police cars everywhere and there's caution tape. And he tries to run into the crime scene. And I felt in the book that was a better way to do it, because in the book he never actually interacts with his wife and kid when he comes home after the mission. They're already dead by that point. And I guess maybe that was too dark to go that route, to make it so that, he never got a chance to see his. And then the other thing I didn't like was in the funeral scene. In the book, they actually do the smashing of the I forgot what they were called off the top of my head. Their Navy SEAL pins. Yeah, the trident. They actually do that ceremony for his daughter. And I was not pleased that they cut that out, that they decided to just make it a standard funeral. I thought that I almost teared up in the book, reading that in the book, because that is such a special ceremony. And the book says, yes, this was a special ceremony normally reserved for SEALs fallen in battle, but these people were considered at that point, the family was considered just as much as a SEAL as they were. And I think that was a bad mistake to leave that part out, or do the funeral just kind of more, it's a regular civilian funeral, whatever. So that's what
I will say I really enjoyed the scene where post funeral they're talking about all the great things that the family did for the other SEALs, though.
Yeah.
That is actually there's a TV show called SEAL Team. It stars David Boreanaz. And
one of my favorites.
I really do feel like this movie slots very nicely into that universe as well, as it stands right now for what I've seen. So I like that they've got, it's approachable, and it feels like a series that didn't necessarily have to be on streaming, but they chose to put it on streaming. Like, it's not like you wouldn't watch it if it was on regular TV. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't watch it if it was on regular TV, but you would 100% watch it to throw something on because you wanted something on in the background. This isn't one of those shows. This is one of those shows that you could 100% have a sit down and watch with people that are actually involved in, this line of work in this world. And yeah, we'll point out our continuity errors. We'll point out our pieces like, dude, you would never talk to an admiral that way.
Yeah, that was my other. I put what we did like up, but I did.
The best part about this, this book was Jack Carr is a former member of, I think, SEAL Team 3. So everything that he writes, discusses, it's coming from what a SEAL who was a SEAL would have done if he was in this situation.
There might be.
And so I really and as somebody who's yelled at senior officers, time and place, you can get away with it properly.
You can.
The day after your daughter dies, and if the admiral knows you by name based off of your record, the admiral is gonna give you that little bit of leeway. But let the show progress. Trust me.
Yeah, I am. That's a small nitpick for me. So how do you guys in the Marine
that's
Corps?
That's why I go also with all the other issues about the guns and stuff like that. Everything about their kits and everything, it was all actual SEALs consulting for each of the actors to actually tell them no, this is why you wear it this way. This is how I wore it in a combat zone. So a lot of this show may feel like it's a bad interpretation, or you might think it's bad, but I watched it all in a row, so it's hard for me to remember any explicit point where I didn't know what was going on because I finished it right. But at the same time, I know that a lot of the things that feel inconsistent are actually part of the story that will later be elaborated upon and fixed in a way that the way the book seems to start, based off what we're talking about in the internal chat, it's a lot of the plot is given away really early. And in a book that works because that takes you through an experience. But in the show, it's piecemealing the entire plot without giving you any whole resolution in any episode until the very end.
Well, yeah,
and it ties it up with flashbacks. It's really clean.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to preface again. Like the show is still worth watching. Don't get me wrong. I still think the book is a better experience. Like I said, the two sequences that I have the most issue with are the fact that I like that he was daydreaming about coming home, and then he rounds the corner and his world is over. I thought that was like I had that scene in my head how that was going to look on screen, and I was mad that that's not what happened. And then, like I said, them doing the pushing of the tridents into Lucy's coffin, that should have been in there.
I did have something for that. I feel like the book that works, because it's written by a Navy SEAL, and it's about a Navy SEAL, but in a show, especially with all the modern the modern warfare shows that are going on, like any show about a SEAL, it has that coffin scene, and so it kind of just like you expect it now. Whenever you watch anything about a SEAL, you kind of expect. But in the instance of this one, if you were to do that for the daughter, it would kind of downplay it to all the SEALs that had it happen, mostly because that scene happens in the first episode, and it hasn't exactly sold itself as entirely for SEALs by SEALs. And so rather than denigrating the ritual, they just removed it entirely rather than risk denigrating it, I should say.
Yeah, I don't agree. I think they could have pulled it off, and it would have been just as gut-wrenching. It probably even more so, because that is a special ritual typically reserved for SEALs fallen in battle, and the fact that they recognize that, okay, dude comes home, loses his wife and kid, their sacrifice is just as valid in a lot of ways, and so that's the whole thing, is that they're making an exception in that moment, and it's very powerful, because SEALs, especially when it comes to military tradition, SEALs do not give that kind of honor to anyone. And I think that's why in the book it really drives the point. Like I said, I kind of teared up in the book when I read it, because I was just like, that is powerful. That is huge. But I got a quick question. In the Marine Corps, how do they address generals informally?
General.
Yeah. See, that's what I didn't like, because he's calling the Admiral sir, and I'm just like, it's Admiral. Admiral is the informal and formal way you address an admiral.
It's general. It's general, sir.
They don't have.
Sir,
yeah, no. They don't. Admirals and generals, they don't have gender anymore. They're just admiral and general now.
Well, no. So it's more in terms of general, sir, because if you go through the 4 ranks of general, be my little general, a brigadier, a major, lieutenant, and then actual general. So not every brigadier general likes to be called general, because they're like, no, I have 4-star friends, I didn't rate it yet, so you call him sir. But you don't know that until you say general sir, and then he goes just sir. And so there's like that kind of nuance is really according to the person holding the rank. Like, you respect the rank in public every single second of every single day, but when it's in private, it's a very case by case basis, especially in those kinds of programs. Like Coronado is the home of the SEALs.
Yes.
And as the home of the SEALs, the admiral in charge, he can talk about Motor T, he can talk about the boats that come into Coronado, but he's bragging about his SEALs. And so when his, star team, especially the main character, he's the star of the stars of the SEALs in this series. And as that person, he knows that his stack, as we call it in the military, everything that's on his chest, his ribbons and all that, they really do carry weight. And if an admiral says the wrong thing, especially a day after your daughter died, then the admiral is going to be a lot more forgiving to his star child.
Very possibly in that sequence, but then your entire argument is rendered moot because the congresswoman referenced that incident. It's like, so someone did file paperwork. When's the court martial?
Well,
yeah, no, you lay hands on a superior, you're done. That's it.
But again, it can come down to your position. I've seen people get away with things that they're definitely never supposed to have gotten away with, and it's because
time trying to man admiral. manhandle an admiral.
I've
Say
never
that
seen anybody
5,000 times.
I've never seen anybody try to manhandle an admiral, but
I haven't
in
either.
the spirit of the story, it worked. In terms of that, it's the brotherhood. Like, the admiral knows that he's talking to a father and a widow at the same time. Like, he just lost his daughter and his wife, and he is literally the greatest killer America has ever produced.
Yeah, like he's a tier 1 operator.
Yeah, but again, if that was the case, then he wouldn't have started escalating the situation with, we went to bat for you, we were gonna stand by, blah, 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 we did all these things. That just sounds like someone who shouldn't be an admiral.
But again, right, my question, my problem
Get to
is
the end of the season.
But again, we only know of what happened in that situation from an unreliable narrator. It could have been the admiral was being very, very like, from my perspective, from having only watched the 2 episodes, I can sit there going, for all I know, the admiral was being really reasonable and really friendly, but because this guy is still under some pretty heavy concussion protocol situations, he could have reacted violently and not even realized that he was, being, he thinks he was being honked off by this admiral, but he may not necessarily have been. That's why this playing with an unreliable narrator stuff is very risky, because I don't know what to believe.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. The show's misdirection and subversion is on point. I will grant it.
And on top of that, that's the thing that I think the show really shows, is that the admiral also knows that he's dealing with somebody that has a serious head injury that hasn't been properly taken care of, and is going through the loss of his wife and child, and is potentially the one responsible, but is also potentially telling the truth about everything he's experienced. So this admiral literally has no baseline with this highly trained, like you said, Corian, tier 1 operator. Like, in terms of the show doing it properly, I think it really did. I think it really set all these unknowns and then put them in a box, and we saw a relatively accurate explosion that would, if once you get to the end, that's why I keep saying, keep going, because once you get to the end, it's like, oh, there should have been way more. And I don't want to get into any details, but in terms of that emotional situation is much better explained. The reason why the admiral isn't putting much more than maybe paperwork in on it, and that paperwork was just to force the main character into taking leave, right? So the way that the rest of the season progresses and this unreliable narrator, it is so fun. I love you guys being frustrated with certain pieces, and then all of me is just trust me, it's not over.
Yeah. So I've got what are we
introduced to, unless they die on screen, they almost always come back at the end, or they have a clear exit throughout the season.
So I put what we did like up, and I know I already reached for this earlier, but I'm just gonna put it up there again. What I did like, of course, was seeing all those M14s on screen was very nice. I got so excited. This was one of those shows where I went grab mine and watched most of the show while hanging out with my rifle, because that's how good it is about really getting you interested in it. This is still a good show. Just because I have scenes that I don't like about the book not being lifted, if that's the worst problem this show has, is some scenes just don't resonate with me like they do in the book. Oh no. Yes, I would recommend this. It's a solid 6 out of 7 for me right now, because it does have good pacing. I couldn't believe how quickly the 2 hours went by watching the show. I was impressed. And so it does a lot of things right. And like I said, guys watching, whether present or on the rewatch or re-listen, this is our community show that we're doing. So if you guys want to start reading the book and want to catch up on Terminal List and watch with us, like I said, next week is going to be episode 3.
Yeah.
Read the fan mail, somebody, please.
Yeah. Ardeni, lol, that brought the image of Petey petting his rifle, whispering, "My precious." Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I wouldn't
My
put his
my
rifle
gun.
too
There are many
close
like
to
it,
open
but
flame,
this one is mine.
as there may be some words in Mordok on them, but you know, I'm not saying it's one rifle to rule them all.
It's an M1A, dude. Okay, so let's do some historical talk with the rifle on screen, because I want this to be educational, not just, hey, look at my gun, I'm so cool. This particular gun is the civilian version M1A Springfield. This is basically the grandson of the M1 Garand, which was a 6-shot, not mag clip. It was at a six round clip that you would load from the top. Now you can actually, if I took my scope off, I could actually top load just like back in the day. Then of course came the upgrade, so to speak, the M14 full auto with a 20 round magazine, which we used. I want to say, every time I research this, I do get my guns mixed up, so I do apologize. I want to say it was Korea was where they used the M14 a lot. Because in Vietnam, that's when we came out with the M16, which most people recognize as an AR-15 civilian version. So yes, this is typically, the M14 is typically the dress rifle for the 21 gun salute that you do see in the show. That is actually accurate. That is exactly the gun that they typically go with for those types of salutes. And so there's a lot of history that this platform has, and it was one of the reasons why I wanted to get one myself, was because of the historical implications. I mean, this thing dates, this thing, you know, it's tied all the way back to World War II. It was basically the go-to rifle in World War II. It was considered one of the best performers. The original one in World War II was a 30-30. It was either 30-30 or 30-06. And yeah, you've probably played this in Medal of Honor, the first Medal of Honor game. It's the gun that you use primarily to storm the beach of Normandy, and that's what a lot of, and it was praised for its high accuracy. To this day, however, the M1 is actually used for a lot of sport shooting. It is still considered a very great precision rifle, and that's what I love using it for. It's good for target practice and just. Yeah, like I said, it's cool to have a something that's linked to history like that also fully functions. And, you know, insert deity of choice here, willing, I will never have to use it on a person. So, yeah, I love seeing all of it. They got that right. They got the military honors correct with using the M14. They got a lot of things right that I was very impressed with that. Like I said, the pacing. I also really liked the last scene in episode 2. Like, such a great. I don't want to give away exactly too much of what happens, but just in the confrontation, such a great anticlimactic way. Just in, like, you think it's gonna turn into a big old brawl, and he goes, nope, shoots him in. Done. I was like, yes, thank you. Finally, some realism. RND fan mail says, fan mail from RND says, I'm more of an RPG player, but I am interested in World War II history and watched a lot of World War II movies. Yes, so if you have knowledge that probably supersedes mine, please feel free to share it. I will not be offended. I do like to get correct information, I'm more interested in getting right information, not being right. So yeah, other things that I liked, the casting so far has been perfect. Everybody's really is clearly, I'm sold on everybody. I don't have any criticism for the acting. Everyone's great. Chris Pratt, I think, was a great choice for this role. So too, see, fan mail from Arindy. My favorite subject, though, are the planes from that era. P-38 Lightning. God, that plane looks good. Yeah, the plane stuff. Quickly to diverge real quick, my favorite sequences in Dunkirk were the planes. I could have just done 2 hours of planes flying around over the English Channel, honestly. That stuff was awesome, especially in IMAX.
I know it's super apocryphal and everything, but I'm a tank guy, and Kelly's Heroes was probably one of my favorite movies, if only because I've met dudes like Oddball. And, you know, it's totally realistic to believe that an oddball like that would be given a tank to command, because that's the kind of screwballs that wound up being a tank commander at that period of time.
Is that a similar story to the Brad Pitt one, the tank one with Shia LaBeouf?
No.
I can't remember that name of that movie. I like that one a lot.
This one, I guess the closest modern movie to it would be Three Kings. The basic premise of the movie is there's a whole bunch of gold in a bank in France, and the Germans are pulling out, and they just found, like, they're pulling out without leaving the gold. So they figure there's this whole bunch of gold there, and Kelly and his team are like, well, why don't we just drive in, get rich, and get the hell out of here and get out of this war?
Yeah, and the Brad Pitt one was Fury. Did you like Fury?
Fury was fantastic.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I liked it too, but I just was like, okay, tank guy, maybe your opinion's a little bit worth considering. Fan mail from Arindy. Whenever I hear Chris Pratt being mentioned, I can't help but think Crisp Rat. Cool. Yeah, no, some people have funny names, just like, you know, Benedict Cumberbun or Cinnamon Bun or whatever, and
Benedict Cumberbatch,
or Tiki Torch White Hickey.
Yes.
Fan mail from Arendi. Band of Brothers was good too. Yes, solid. That we may have to consider doing a community watch through of that next year, because that is one of my favorite series.
This is
maybe
this
around
is a great
Memorial
way to show
Day or
us you
something.
guys are a part of the watch,
or June 6th,
the watch trials. If we do these watch-alongs like we're doing with Terminalist now, and you guys come to have fun with us, like, and be a part of it, even if you get to the end, like, you see me, I already finished it. So, like, you have the three different steps here. You have Corione, who has not read the book at all, and he just watched episodes 1 and 2. You have Parker, who's read most of the book, and he has just watched episodes 1 and 2. And I've read none of the book yet, and I've watched the whole thing. And, like, this is the kind of conversation we want to have around it, and we want you guys to be a part of it too. So, like, when we're like, this is like the what we did not like part, that's cue for you guys to type in all of your thoughts as well, join along, and that shows us that we can do this with every other show that already exists. And I mean, if we're gonna get into a Chris Pratt binge, Parks and Rec.
Yeah, well, and I mean, like, I'm also going to put it out there that us taking the three different tacts, like, this may be a little bit inside baseball for you guys, but that's not a coincidence. We intentionally do that so you guys can see the opinion of, you know, us from different perspectives on how we watch through it. Because it may be that I will sit there going like, oh, I don't know about the series, and Petey will be like, yeah, but the book was fantastic, you need to check that out, right? You know, so it gives you guys multiple ways of viewing this, which we want to provide as well. And if you guys even want to organize yourselves and, like, let us know, well, I intend to read the book and then get caught up on the series, like, that's cool too. We'd be interested to hear what perspectives you guys want to, you know, what your perspectives are as well. We're absolutely, you know, you guys are just as much a part of this show as we are. The difference is we're just showing our faces on camera, where you guys have the awesomeness of the chat at your disposal. So,
yep, absolutely.
You guys get to actually organize your thoughts into complete sentences while we try to piecemeal them together on the spot.
All right, so I'm excited for the rest of this show. For the rest of this, yeah, we're definitely going to be talking about this every week for the next couple of weeks until we finish the season. Moving on real quick, since we are almost out of time. Call of Duty Warzone has been around for a while, and if you've ever touched Warzone, then you probably know that it's not always the greatest or the most fun. It can be stressful, especially with cheaters, but they've been cracking down a lot on the cheaters. However, we decided to dive into some casual-filled fun over the weekend, and we found ourselves in a game mode that I had no idea was coming, and wow, am I blown away. Battle Royale is one of the latest and greatest in game crazes that still to this day is popular. Whether it's Fortnite, whether it's PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, or Call of Duty Warzone, Battle Royale is here, and it's here to stay. What this did was it was a whole new take on what Battle Royale is and how it functions. Basically, the way it works is you drop in like normal zone, and you basically, like Battle Royale, you want to eliminate the other team before the. Now, originally Warzone introduced this concept called Resurgence or Rebirth, which is where if you die, you still have a chance to come back, provided your team stays alive within a certain amount of time. And of course, if you guys get wiped, that's that. This game mode here, Rebirth of the Dead, took that concept and flipped it on its head and introduced a zombie element to it. So two fan-crazy things of Battle Royale and zombies get mashed together in just some of the most chaotic fun that I have had in a game mode in a long time. What happens is you deploy as your squad like normal, and if you get killed, you then redeploy, as you've probably seen on the screen, as a zombie. Now, there's a couple of catches with the zombie. One, the zombie cannot use guns. Two, the zombie doesn't have a parachute, so when you parachute back in, you just smack it to the ground. But you get back up. You do have a couple of zombie abilities to give you an advantage, but basically what you want to do is try to get back into human form. Otherwise, if you get killed as a zombie, you're dead until your team can revive you. But wait, there's more. In the event that your entire team gets wiped, you're not necessarily out of the running. Because in the process, you can see on the right of the screen there's a zombie meter. And if a certain amount of zombies get killed, all the spectators automatically redeploy. So even if your entire squad is wiped out, if you have the patience to wait, you can redeploy. John and I played a couple of rounds where we did exactly that, and when we redeployed, we actually ended up winning the match. So this game mode is anyone's game. That said, Corion, this was your first Call of Duty experience. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, look, the reason why I typically don't play this particular genre of games that much is I'm not too much of a twitchy gamer. I'm more of I like to think out and plan my actions a little bit more than the frenzied pace of the game. That being said, I had a lot of fun, and once I finally got into a position where I could use the accurate rifle I picked up, I can't even remember what I picked up, but I know it was a reasonable sniper weapon. I was having a great time picking off people as they came in. Of course, once I got nailed, I got picked off in air on my parachute for which I guess was a not so subtle jolt of revenge from the guys I had been picking off. But you know, I mean, you take it as it comes, right? I liked the zombie aspect. I found that usually if I was dropped into a place with people, I could, you know, pick up the cure pretty quickly and get back to, you know, my favorite part of the game, which was shooting random dudes with whatever random gun I happen to find on the floor. I will say that the shotgun was an absolute lifesaver on multiple occasions. Though I still have to find the bat, because it seemed like you guys had a lot of fun with that bat.
I do love the bat.
I gotta ask, can I get my entrenching tool?
It is one of the attacks. I want to say it's either Black Ops or Vanguard, but there is an entrenching tool.
Oh, perfect.
And the melee weapons are always a good. It's just it's a simple, you know, Call of Duty's never been anything. For me, Call of Duty peaked with Modern Warfare 2, not this new one coming out, but the original Modern Warfare 2. I thought the story was fantastic, and that the whole Red Dawn theme going through was just amazing. I absolutely enjoyed it. But that said, Call of Duty gameplay is pretty straightforward. Run around, you shoot, it's first person, whatever. That's why these types of game modes are fun, is because now it's like there's more tactics involved. And that's what I like. See, I'm kind of in between there. I do love a good strategy game. And I do enjoy a lot of the games that do require you to think. But I also do enjoy quick, fast, turn my brain off, shoot them, kill them up. This is different because it's a little bit of both. Because you have to be thinking tactically minded. Okay, here I am coming back as a zombie, and it's the end. How am I going to, what do we do to win this, right? And you've got to kind of think out of the box at times, because it can get hard. Oh, is this the ending where I picked up the vial at the last second and lost?
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah. See, that's the other thing. See, and I love games like this that have a bit more of a random nuance, because there's no like, there's no, you could be the best player at this game and still lose. And I think that's what I really enjoyed about playing it. It was never a guarantee. How good you perform doesn't necessarily mean you have to think of those other extenuating circumstances in order to be successful. It takes time, and yeah, I was surprised with how well John and I played the first couple rounds by ourselves, and even all of us playing together was a lot of fun. Go ahead, John.
The first round was a walk-on W, dude. We figured that one out so fast the first time we played. We're like, all right, we're staying with this. And then yeah, we had a couple losses in between, but then we got another W on Saturday. And like, this game isn't so much like, there's so many of these battle royales. I've played almost all of them. I tried Fortnite when it was first coming out. I tried PUBG when it was first coming out, and Apex I've played a little bit since it came out and when it came out. And I've been playing Warzone since Modern Warfare dropped. And I don't like battle royales, mostly because like they almost always scatter you across the map with nothing good to use. And it makes it so hard to play solo, let alone like if you can get a halfway decent team, but then if you're constantly hot dropping, you're getting walked off and you just get tired of the waiting for the loads. And that's what I love about what Warzone's been doing with these resurgent modes, the golden plunder, regular plunder. Like, they take the battle royale map, they take the regular respawn, mix it up into the standard battle royale format, but more along the lines of that law domination, and you get to just have fun. Like, Parker and I, while we're playing, is like, we'll have those periods where we'll just goof off and have whatever conversation we want, because we're running across the map to a hot zone, but we know we're probably not going to get talked to by any of the other players until we get to that hot zone. So we can take some time off while still playing Call of Duty. Well, like, we're taking time off in Call of Duty from Call of Duty and progressing to go do more Call of Duty, all in the same game. No load, no pause, no like, oh, I got 30 kills and 80 deaths and I feel terrible about myself. Instead, it's like, no, we still got stuff to do. We're not looking at any stats. We're going to talk about whatever we're talking about on the road to where we're going. But that's where we're going. And to me, that's a new kind of fun I've never experienced with Call of Duty until we started streaming Casual Filth. And until we started this one, especially. This one, like, Parker and I played, and I usually said I hit hard deadlines.
I was trying to snipe with a shotgun. Was that even anyone on our team? Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But wait, was that you, like, Corion?
It probably was me.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, they don't put slugs in those guns.
Oh, well.
But there's a mechanic. You can get the perk for slugs.
Oh, you can? Oh, okay. Good to know. Yes. I didn't know.
Yeah. No, dude, this game, like, I think a lot of people's beef with Call of Duty is that, like, it felt like it was just following in the footsteps of PUBG. But in reality, it feels like PUBG and Fortnite were just the testing grounds for what Warzone was already trying to become eventually. Like, this game really is really fun. My only issue with it is that all of the other games are just new skins for this game. And each older game, like for me, I'm stuck on Warzone. I do own Black Ops, but I don't play it yet until I Damascus all my guns in Warzone or Modern Warfare. But like, Vanguard is the current one, and Modern Warfare 2 is about to come out, and I already feel like I'm 3 games behind because I still haven't finished Warzone. And to me, that's like the only thing that like keeps Call of Duty at like a 5 out of 7 for me. Like, it could be A+ if it let my other stuff work. You know, if it left Modern Warfare still be fun, even though I'm not like playing the current iteration of the current game, I'm still playing the other games, and I still have to pay $60 for all the new iterations. So at least make that $60 go longer is really like my biggest gripe. But this is proof that it's gone long, like further than any other game it's ever gone. I've never found a new game mode in one of my old games and been like, wow, I'm really happy and surprised I came back. And till now.
Yeah, and that's just it. I agree with you. Overall, Warzone is about a 5 out of 7 game in retrospect. This game mode, however, I do give a 7. This is
7
nuanced.
out of 7. A+.
This is different. This is a take on 2 different genres put together, and it's fun, and it's probably going to be taking up casual filth for the next, I don't know, as long as it's available. Because I really enjoy it.
Fair enough. That being all said, I do need you guys to give a try to Stray. That one was really good.
H. Marie wants to try Stray.
So fun. It looks so just...
Oh, we've got mail in here. You like RPGs too? Yeah, Arden. I run at least one tabletop RPG a week. When it comes to video game RPGs, yeah, I tend to run through a lot of them when they come out. I do have some requirements from an RPG for me. It has to have plot first, and the plot has to have some semblance of sense to it. Like, don't get me wrong, old classic D&D Spelljammer where you're like, a fantasy Conan dude running around in space, flying around on like space dragonflies, fighting dudes in space mollusks and stuff is cool, and like is 70s van art come to life. I'm not disagreeing with that, but I'm more of a, I don't know, I would say I'm more of a classic Forgotten Realms fantasy kind of player. Or, I like my sci-fi. Like, I loved the Mass Effect series right until the end. That series was fantastic. It felt like the things you did mattered. It felt like the places you went had their own personality. So yeah, I love good hardcore RPGs.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Marindy, or fan mail from Marindy says, I've been trying to get into D&D games. Family doesn't really like it. Open groups tend to be ticking time bombs. Yeah. I only ever played D&D tabletop game once. I've never really got into it. I am looking forward to that movie. That looks like a lot of fun. But I do also enjoy a good role-playing game. I love Knights of the Old Republic. I hold that as one of the greatest Star Wars games. The best Star Wars story ever told. It's down. The best thing to ever come for the Star Wars universe was Code.
You know what we could do, guys? Before the D&D movie comes out, if we could get maybe 1 or 2 players more, we could hold our own version of Celebrity D&D as a live stream for a show. Like as a one-shot. If that is something you guys in the chat would like to see.
100 subs.
Yeah, like, make it happen, you guys.
100 subs will be there.
Yeah, I'll set it up. I will run the game. I've got an idea in mind for a one-shot that we could pull off that... I think would be really good. I definitely think I can build PD a wizard slash, wizard with a magic missile shotgun that I think he'd appreciate. And, we could make something of this. So if you guys are really interested.
This thing actually can have a grenade launcher on the front of it, believe it or not. I'd like to get one. I can't get any grenades for it, but still, being able to have it would... all right, we are down to the last couple minutes of the show here. So, gentlemen, why don't you plug away?
Well, I'm Corion Witch in Residence. On Sundays, every Sunday, I do a show talking about the spiritual lessons we can learn from pop culture. And every other Thursday, I host Transmissions from the Rogue Council. Unique paranormal style show that only is online for 72 hours a day, or 72 hours a show, and then it disappears forever, as a Rogue Council should. But definitely come check it out. We get into some of the craziest coolest weirdness that has ever existed. I talk about some of the very weird stuff I have dealt with. We get into some of the most esoteric woo-woo stuff that has ever woo-wooed on this side of the internet. Please come check us out. To everyone in the chat that has, you guys know how awesome it is. Keep coming out to them. We love having you there. And yeah, I guess that's the big stuff I'm plugging. But of course, shout out to Maria with T and Telly and, Orville Nation. PJ does an awesome show.
Yep, which Orville Nation is actually live right now, apparently on the Renew the Orville Challenge. After this show, please go check that out.
We'll be heading over there.
Probably,
yeah. I think we'll all try to get in a little bit of a raid, I suppose.
Heck yeah. For my plugs, I'm going to start a new segment called What I Enjoyed This Week. Because it is short on time, I'm going to do 2 of them. I have been binging the Nateland podcast, Nate Bergazzi, his channel on YouTube. It's the funniest, cleanest comedy I've ever listened to for 24 hours straight. And just 2-hour episodes, tons of fun, tons of funny. And then my all-time favorite podcast right now is Middle of Somewhere with Cy Amundsen and Chatty Daddy Chad Daniels. This is my boy. He is mountain climbing across my desk like a maniac. Oh, and that is what I've enjoyed this week.
There we go.
All right. Well, I do want to thank our viewers that participated today. You guys are what helps make this place awesome. And of course, our podcast listeners, we appreciate you guys taking the time to download and spread the word. Please, guys, I know it's a cliche. I thought we tried some nuance with the whole obligatory like and subscribe, but really we are serious about trying to grow and make this a full-time commitment. We want to keep adding more shows and adding more content, and the sooner we can monetize, the sooner we can start making that happen and actually grow TWB into its own fully competitive channel with actual cable and stuff. We want to bring more content to you guys and more shows and more, not just gaming stuff, but we've got some cooking channel ideas or cooking show ideas. We've got lots of stuff that we want to do. It's just hard to find the time right now. So thanks for watching again. My name's Petey York with the Ryder Brothers. We will see you guys again next week.